This is how is the anatomical position of cerebellum, which is present in the posterior cranial fossa. Here you will be able to see posterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa and anterior cranial fossa. So roof of this posterior cranial fossa is formed by a tent-like fold of dura mater, which is called as tentorium cerebelli. So this tentorium cerebelli separate this cerebellum from occipital lobe of cerebrum. So now I am taking this out. Here you will be able to see this is brainstem, which is going down through foramina magnum. So after taking out, anteriorly we have brainstem and posteriorly this is cerebellum. So this is superior surface of cerebellum and this is inferior surface of cerebellum. Now in the center of cerebellum, this worm-like structure is called as vermis, and laterally we have this cerebellar hemispheres. So we have two cerebellar hemispheres and in the center this is vermis. The important point regarding this vermis is superior vermis is in continuity with this superior surface of this cerebellar hemispheres. You will be able to say this is continuous. Now when you look at the inferior surface, this inferior vermis is separated from this inferior cerebellar hemispheres by a gap which is called as vallecula. This gap is called as vallecula and this is portion of inferior vermis and this is superior vermis. Now on the superior surface, another important point is this fissure. Now this fissure is called as primary fissure, and this primary fissure separates this anterior lobe from posterior or middle lobe. So this fissure is called as primary fissure. Now on the inferior aspect, here you will be able to see one more fissure which is called as posterolateral fissure, and embryologically this posterolateral fissure is first to appear. So this is posterolateral fissure and these are flocculonodular lobes. These are flocculonodular lobes. Phylogenetically these are called as archicerebellum, and these flocculonodular lobes are connected to the inferior vermis innermost part, which is nodule. So these flocculonodular lobes, they are connected to this portion of inferior vermis which is nodule. They form archicerebellum or flocculonodular lobes. Here you will be able to see the vestibulocochlear nerve. So this nerve is vestibulocochlear nerve. You will be able to see this is pons, this is medulla, this is pontomedullary junction, and through this pontomedullary junction from medial to lateral we have 6, 7 and 8 nerves. So at this pontocerebellar angle, this is vestibulocochlear nerve and these are flocculonodular lobes. Now coming to the appearance, or look at this. These are depressions which are called as sulci and these elevations are folia. The way we have seen in cerebrum, we have depressions sulci and elevations gyri. So gyri here are replaced by this folia, and because of these depressions and elevations, 85% of cortex is concealed within this folia. Now when we take a section, in the cut section of cerebellum, you will be able to see regular these folia and sulci, they are regularly arranged, giving the appearance of a tree. That's why this cut section of cerebellum is called as arbor vitae cerebelli. Now here you will be able to see the fourth ventricle. Here we have cut section of midbrain. These are crus, substantia nigra, and this is cerebral aqueduct. This cerebral aqueduct behind the pons and medulla expand and form a tent-like structure which is fourth ventricle, and this continues down as the central canal of spinal cord. So this is the tent. Here we have floor of fourth ventricle and roof of the fourth ventricle. That's why the roof of fourth ventricle is tent shape. Now here we have aqueduct, and on the lateral aspect we have seen this is foramina of Luschka, through which the CSF is also communicated laterally. Now inferiorly, here we have choroid plexus. These are choroid plexus which also form inferior medullary velum. This superior medullary velum, which is this, is formed by glial tissue, and this choroid plexus also enter into foramina of Luschka. After this, now we will see the peduncles. You know there are three cerebellar peduncles, superior, middle and inferior, out of which the largest cerebellar peduncle is middle cerebellar peduncle, and which is nothing but the continuation of this pons laterally. So here you will be able to see this is middle cerebellar peduncle, and this middle cerebellar peduncle, it is medially joined by this inferior cerebellar peduncle which is coming from medulla and merging on medial aspect of this middle cerebellar peduncle. So when we will see the cut section after removing the brainstem, here you will be able to see the superior cerebellar peduncle. So this is superior cerebellar peduncle, and these two superior cerebellar peduncle are joined by superior medullary velum. So this superior medullary velum is a glial tissue, and here we don't have glial tissue on inferior medullary velum, which is formed by mainly choroid plexus. So this is superior cerebellar peduncle, middle cerebellar peduncle and inferior cerebellar peduncle. One more fissure, when you look at this, one more fissure which is not of that importance, but it is horizontal fissure, also called as mechanical fissure, and this horizontal fissure separates superior surface of cerebellum from inferior surface. Now lateral to this uvula, here we have nodule, uvula and pyramis. Now lateral to uvula, these two bulgings, they are called as tonsils of cerebellum, and importance of these tonsils, as this brainstem passes through foramina magnum, the way we have seen. When there is increased intracranial pressure, this tonsil along with medulla may herniate through this foramen magnum and come down. At that point, tonsil may press on these important structures which are here in the medulla, leading to complications. So like this. So these obvious structures are tonsils. Here we have flocculonodular lobes. This is vestibulocochlear nerve. This is inferior vermis, parts, nodule, uvula, pyramis. Now, and this is anterior lobe. Now this anterior lobe along with uvula and pyramis constitute the spinocerebellum, which is mainly important for the equilibrium and balance of limbs. And the remaining portion is neocerebellum, except flocculonodular lobe and portion of anterior lobe. This remaining portion is called as neocerebellum, and this is for learning and controlling voluntary activities, skilled voluntary activities. Now along with this 1 to 2 centimeter lateral portion of this vermis is called as paravermal region. So 1 to 2 centimeter lateral to this vermis is paravermal region. Now when we take a cut section, here you will be able to see the cut sections. So outermost cortex is nothing but the grey matter, then in the center we have white matter, and in the white matter collections of deep nuclei. There are 4 deep nuclei in the cerebellum, that is fastigious, globus, emboliformis and dentate. Dentate, the shape of dentate nuclei is same like that of inferior olivary nucleus. Here you will be see the crumpled bag appearance where hilum is facing medially. So this is dentate nucleus, which is nothing but the deep nucleus, and this dentate is connected to the neocerebellum. Emboliformis and globus, they are connected with the spinocerebellum, and fastigious nucleus is connected or concerned with the archicerebellum, also called as flocculonodular lobe. So that is all about cerebellum.